Good morning and welcome to the FAA Production Studios. I'm Cheryl Hardy, Public Relations for the FAA Production Studio and a board member for the National Aviation Safety Foundation. We're coming to you live today from the FAA Production Studios on the field at Lakeland Linder Regional Airport. And the FAA Production Studios is a joint effort, collaborative effort between the the FAST team, the FAA Safety Team, and the National Aviation Safety Foundation. Today you're going to be tuning in for a very special program. Today is our downlink with the International Space Station, Expedition 26, with Commander Scott Kelly and his crew. But we have some very special guests here today in the studio, and for those of you that are joining us live on the stream and are listening via satellite, the Central Florida Aerospace Academy is here with us. Let's hear it from the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. Fantastic. Now, I want to hear it one more time, but I want to hear the students in the classrooms clapping with you one more time. Let's go. All right. We're excited to have you here today, and we're great that we're able to help and partner and bring you this program. We're going to have a great lineup of presenters for you today and some very special messages for you today from Senator Bill Nelson, and of course we've got some spotlights that we're going to let you view too. So our viewers at home are going to enjoy that, and I know all of you here in the studio today are going to have a great time. We've got some special students that have prepared some questions for the space station today, and they're going to get their opportunity. So that's going to come up a little bit later in the program. Now, first up though, I would like to introduce somebody that you all are very familiar with, and that is your principal for the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, Mr. Chad Smith. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much.
Chad, pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
I'll turn you over to your students.
Good morning. My name is Chad Smith, and I'm the assistant principal, actually, of Kathleen High School, and I oversee the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. And I want to give you greetings from here at the FAA Production Studios, located at Sun and Fun in Lakeland, Florida. And Sun and Fun is the home of the 37th annual Fly-In International Fly-In and Expo that will be held this March 29th through April 6th of 2011. Sun and Fun is also the home of the Florida Air Museum, the state of Florida's official aviation museum and education center. And wonderfully, for the past 3 years, Sun and Fun has been the home and location of the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. The academy itself was developed 3 years ago. It's a STEM academy, science, technology, engineering, math, and it has a focus on aerospace, programs in aerospace technologies, engineering, avionics, and also we'll be adding in the future A&P, air traffic control, and potentially drone flight. So we're really excited about those opportunities that are coming. We're proud to announce the Academy and Polk County Schools has now become a long-term partner with Sun and Fun and the Lakeland Regional Airport through a construction of a brand new facility at the entrance of Sun and Fun. It's going to be a 58,000 square foot school building that will also house up to 500 students between the ages of 9th grade and 12th grade. With this new school building, the Central Florida Aerospace Academy will become the premier high school STEM academy and will be a national model for all schools nationwide on what can be done with supportive business partners such as our academy partners. I'd like to recognize those academy partners at this time. Sun and Fun, the Florida Air Museum, right where we're located here, the FAA Production Studio, Lakeland Regional Airport, Gulf Coast Avionics, USF Polytechnic, Polk State College, Travis Career Center, the Central Florida Development Council, Workforce Education, and the Aerospace Resource Center of Florida, as well as the FAA Safety Team. I'd also like to give special thanks to our partners, the Ray Foundation, Polk County School Board, and NASA for their continued support of our academy. It is this support and partnership that has brought our students so many unique opportunities over the past couple years. And today's event, I think, tops them all, the downlink with the International Space Station. Yesterday, I had kind of an ironic opportunity. Received a package in the mail from our main campus, this package right here. In this package, I was surprised to find an older book. Our main campus is currently going through some renovations. They're moving into a new media center, and the media center specialist over there, knowing what our focus this is, knowing my interest in aviation, thought that this book would be appropriate. So she sent me this older book that came in this package, and on the front she had written, "You must have this." At the time, I didn't think much of it. I was busy yesterday, and I laid it down on the corner of my desk and kind of ignored it for the rest of the day. Later on during the day, when I had a little bit more of an opportunity to look at that particular book, I picked it up and started flipping through it. One of the first things I like to look at an old book is I'd like to see when was it published, how old is it? Well, this book was first published in 1958, then it was republished in 1959 and 1960. As I flipped through the book, I noticed the title was First Men to the Moon. I thought this was peculiar because, well, at that point in time, at the publication of this book, men hadn't been to the moon. Matter of fact, hadn't even been in outer space. They were just beginning the space race with Sputnik. So I went a little further. I thought, well, what could this book possibly be about? As I flipped even further, I saw drawings, computations, a lot of different pictures, and it was obvious that the book was kind of written as a story. And it came across initially as a fantasy story. But then as I read a little bit further and looked even more detail, I realized that many of the details that were written into this book were fact. It was almost as if the author had predicted the future of space travel. He knew everything there needed to be known about it in 1958. That was 53 years ago. I was blown away until I noticed who wrote the book. Anyone have a guess at who might have written the book? How many of you have heard of Wernher von Braun? Ah, the father of the rocket. The man who actually, with NASA, developed the Saturn V and sent men to the moon. What's special about this? Why is this significant on a day like today? Well, I found it to be very significant because today, you as students of the Central Florida Aerospace Academy are about to communicate with men and women that are actually living in space, something that Wernher von Braun dreamed about. He was a big fan of Jules Verne, and he dreamed about these opportunities for people. And guess what? It's occurring today, and you're getting the opportunity to talk to him. So here we are 53 years after he's published his book. Man has traveled to outer space, walked on the moon, flown out and back in space on a space shuttle where they can actually retrieve the unit and bring it all the way back. And now we've got people living in space in the International Space Station. So what would Wernher von Braun think of today and your opportunity? I tell you what I think he would think. He would have expected it. He would have expected you all to have this opportunity. So here in the studio and out across the nation, there are going to be young people that are participating and watching this downlink with the International Space Station who are the same as Wernher von Braun, dreamers and doers. So what really gets me excited, more than what's happened so far in space travel over the past 53, 54 years, is not what we've seen with traveling to the moon, not what we've seen with the space shuttle, and not even what we're seeing today. That's not what gets me excited. What gets me excited is that they're dreamers and doers for the next 53 years sitting right here. Many of them are out in the internet world watching us, and they're dreamers and doers also. And so I want to encourage those dreamers and doers to follow those dreams and go do. So what's going to happen? Well, we'll see in 2065, 54 years from now, when maybe the publisher of a book in this room will be reading about what they dreamed and what they did. And my hope, my true hope, is that the Central Florida Aerospace Academy of Kathleen High School and the Polk County School System here in Florida will be the catalyst and the conduit for those dreamers and doers. And so we appreciate you all coming here today. We hope you'll enjoy this opportunity to speak to the folks in space at this International Space Station Downlink. Thank you. Thank you.
Chad, thank you very much. That was an inspiring message.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now let's take a little look at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. We're going to throw it up to the control room, and let's see what we've got for you.
The Central Florida Aerospace Academy, or CFAA, is one of the workforce academies sponsored by the Polk County School District. In addition to offering college prep programs, each workforce academy specializes in a discipline that exposes its students to real-world work opportunities. Recently, I had the opportunity to talk with some of the key people at the CFAA and learn more about the school and its amazing programs. The Central Florida Aerospace Academy began as the dream of one man, a pillar of the Lakeland business community, who wanted to give back to his adoptive hometown in a way that had worked for him as a youth in Miami. His name is Rick Garcia.
Back when I was in high school in the old days, I attended a high school that was similar to Central Florida Aerospace Academy. We did our general curriculum half the day, and the other half the day we did aviation curriculum. We went to the airport at Miami, where I was born and raised, and we did all kinds of aviation programs there through high school. So I've always had the idea and wanted to do something here in Lakeland like that. I started, after I graduated high school, I joined the Air Force, started an avionics program there. I got stationed at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, and that's what started my aviation and avionics career. After that, I opened up a business about 25 years ago called Gulf Coast Avionics, and we do aircraft electronics, installation, sales, and repairs.
You're located here on the field?
Here on Lakeland Airport, yes. Been at Lakeland Airport for 11 years, and we were in Tampa prior to that, and really enjoy Lakeland Airport and the business culture and everything here. So about 3 or 4 years ago, started investigating what it would take to do something like that here at Lakeland, at the Sun & Fun campus, with their education endeavors and everything that they have going on with education here. So I talked to a gentleman named John Small of the Polk County School Board, and we started a dialogue about what it would take to start an academy here at Sun & Fun for aviation.
So what you're telling me then is that you're one of the main instigators of this whole CFAA concept in Lakeland.
I'm the culprit.
Oh wow, that's pretty incredible. So you took your own love of aviation, avionics, and you brought that into a real program to help students in the area develop themselves towards careers in aviation and aerospace technology. That's tremendous.
Yeah, and I had to convince, first of all, Polk County School Board and John Small that it was a worthwhile program, that there was demand for that type of education here in Polk County. But after having some meetings with different people and partners, everybody agreed that it would be a great endeavor to start, to complement what Sun & Fun's already doing in education, to start the school.
Well, since you started in a program at a magnet type school and later went into the avionics arena, for our students who might be listening right now, do you feel like having that early background with your magnet school experience helped you when you went into avionics?
It did. It guided me into a career path that I've enjoyed. It's a lovely career at aviation. If it wasn't because of the high school program that they had that I went through, I really don't know what career path I would have taken. Luckily, they took us on a field trip one day to the Air Force Base down in Miami at Homestead Air Force Base, and I said, I want to join the Air Force when I get out of high school and continue that career path in aviation. And then that led to me opening up my business in avionics, and here we are today with the school.
Once you convinced the Polk School Board that having a magnet school focused on the aerospace industry was interesting and important and maybe worth doing, what other types of business things did you have to do to make this into a reality?
Well, the next thing was find a location for it at Sun & Fun campus or at Lakeland Airport, because we wanted it to be on an airport. We didn't want it to be off of an airport. We wanted the kids to get the excitement of being on an airport and watching airplanes fly by every day to take off and landing. So we went ahead and searched for a building, and we had Sun & Fun had a maintenance building that got converted over to it got divided up, but it could be used for classroom space. So the Polk County School Board looked at it, see how they can adapt it to, a school building, and that's where we put it, and there it is today.
So we got a space for it. What other types of things did you do? I'm sure you had to bring in a lot of people in the area to make this a reality.
We did. A lot of expertise came. We put a consortium together of different partners. Some of them included educational partners like Polk State College, University of South Florida Polytechnic, Travis Career Center, different businesses. One of them is my business, Gulf Coast Avionics. There's probably about 20-25 people involved in the consortium that we meet on a regular basis to plan the future, for Central Florida Aerospace Academy.
Wow. Well, tell us a little more about this, the grant that you have received for this new building that I hear about.
It's very exciting. Back in February, we talked to a donor, a possible donor that could donate some money to build a new building, because the building we are in now, we have no more room. busting at the seams, can't take any more kids because we can't put them anywhere. We've got portables and everything, but you can only put so many of those. So we approached this gentleman to donate money for a new building. The capacity of the new building is going to be up to 499 students. We're about 145 now, so that'll enable us to grow the school a lot more. And he was very generous. Back in April, we had a groundbreaking ceremony, and the walls are up, the inside's getting put in, and hopefully it'll be done by March 1st.
The new home of the Central Florida Aerospace Academy is this eye-catching two-story building at the entrance to the Sun and Fun campus on the southwest corner of Lakeland-Linder Regional Airport. The man in charge of the Central Florida Aerospace Academy is Chad Smith, who's the assistant principal of Kathleen High School, the parent school of the CFAA program. Tell us a little bit about the mission of the CFAA.
Well, our goal is obviously to educate children, and our primary focus is college prep and vocational at the same time. It used to be the old vocational schools was just that. It was immediate entry into the workforce, but we believe that even that field has gone a little bit more high-tech, so we do a lot more with college prep also in preparing our students for real-world applications.
So you're moving education along with the actual work environment. Yes. Where students have to be technically adept as well as having the traditional
Absolutely.
4 R's.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, how has the mission evolved of the school as it has developed over time?
Well, I mean, we started out initially when we started the school, this is our third year that we're in now, and it was actually about a year's worth of development prior to that. Our initial plan was that obviously it's got an aerospace or an aviation focus, and so we looked at different opportunities for grants out there. The first one that came along was called a Florida Department of Ed Succeed Grant. And the Succeed Grant had two opportunities. You could do an A&P program or you could do an avionics program. Obviously an A&P program was quite in depth to start. The 147 certification that you would need with the FAA. And so we looked at the avionics, and that kind of matched too with our partnership we have with Rick Garcia, who is one of our advisors, or it's actually our chief advisor on our advisory board. He is in the avionics business, so we thought that'd be a perfect match. We pursued that grant. That grant was a $250,000 grant, which allowed us, that we were awarded, and we were allowed to go out and purchase a lot of equipment, test benches, et cetera, and start our avionics. I knew also that probably wouldn't be the only draw that we could develop. We'd have to get something else in there that would attract other students, so we decided to go with an aerospace engineering program. And so we've developed that. And those were our two initial programs. Kathleen High School had an ROTC program already in place. It's the only Air Force ROTC in Polk County, and that was a perfect match. And so we brought our sergeant and colonel over, and they've developed a ROTC program at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy also.
To what extent do you think the aerospace emphasis and engineering emphasis contributed to you receiving the recent grant, the recent involvement and opportunity to be involved with NASA?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it was perfect, and did a lot of research. We've actually partnered with a program called the Aviation Resource Center of the state of Florida. It's a workforce banner center out of Jacksonville, and they did a report back in 2006 about aviation and aerospace in the state of Florida, and we utilized that information for both our Succeed grant and the NASA grant to attract those. To demonstrate that in Florida, aviation has a very strong future, aerospace has a very strong future, and so that attracted NASA, I think, to our program, plus the fact that that's all we're dedicated to is aerospace, and we do a lot with, in our aerospace, we tie everything in our classes, our engineering classes, our aerospace science classes, a lot to space exploration and obviously now the future with the ISS, the International Space Station. So I think that attracted them.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. Well, I know that you want to continue to build your reputation as a magnet school. What sort of plans do you have for new programs and expansion in the future now that you have the additional space in your new building?
Well, there's a lot on our plate right now. Obviously, with a new building, that's going to give us the space to expand. We have had aerospace technologies has been one of the classes we've had. We have not been able to expand that in the way we'd like to, and that's been a focus on pilot preparation, actually ground school. With our new building, we're going to be able to actually set up an aerospace aviation lab with simulators, aircraft simulators. We're going to also add an A&P program, which is what we wanted to do from the very beginning, is have an airframe power plant program. So we're now currently have contracted with a gentleman locally who is an A&P instructor. He is developing our 147 manual for FAA approval. In our new building, we've actually developed a lab where there's a full aircraft hangar door on the back of the building. We'll be able to pull in an aircraft the size of a Cessna 172 into the building and actually have an A&P program. Our goal is to have that open and up and ready by August 2011. And then another exciting piece that we're exploring is a partnership with a community college here in the state of Florida that has an air traffic control program. And they've actually are discussing loaning and providing to us through a Florida Department, or excuse me, a federal Department of Labor grant that they received, actual simulators to do ATC air traffic control instruction and dual enrollment articulation with them. So that's another piece that we are working on. So that's real exciting.
One of the dedicated teachers at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy is science teacher Lori Bradner, who has been one of the prime organizers of this event. She told me that the CFAA's focus is on science.
The main focus of the Central Florida Aerospace Academy is really, we are a STEM-focused school, which is your science, technology, engineering, and math. I also bring in, I think I bring in a little bit of the STEAM, which is the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, because that was something also, that is another thing that I've done in my lifetime. But truthfully, what we're doing, our focus is avionics, engineering, aeronautics, and science. It's not for everyone, but what I feel is that, as you know, science doesn't happen in the classroom, Karen. By the time we get our textbooks, they're outdated. Science is around us. Science is the art of critically thinking. It's the art of research methodology. It's the art of safety. And where that safety and understanding the procedures and the protocols, that they are so built in and they become so intrinsic to these students that it's second nature to them. And that's really what our focus is. And so we're trying to open this world of science, because science, very much like engineering, is taking the knowledge and applying it. And that's what we do at the Aerospace Academy, from an engineering perspective, from a science perspective, from an avionics perspective, from a flight perspective. That's what we're trying to do, is really open up this world, teach the students the research methodology, good methodology, and then also teach them the safety that it has to be inherent, because there's too many things that we do, as you know, in flight, in space, in science, that can be of danger to not only the students, the instructors, but also everyone around us.
You mentioned science, and I want to point out that you have on a very scientific, technical-looking set of attire today. Can you describe for our viewers what you're wearing?
I actually can. I have to tell you, the other focus that we have is we want to teach the students that all good things in life are earned, and you must earn them. There are very few things that are given to us, and we all have heard the phrase, there is no free lunch. And truly there isn't, and there's certainly no free lunch at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. Everything that they do, they earn. What I have on today is actually a regulation NASA, that royal blue suit that you've seen. Our viewers, our listeners have seen it on TV. This is something that I earned this summer. The county truly has a commitment to STEM and STEAM education. We have the support of our administrators, Mr. Chad Smith, Mr. Cecil McClellan, and Mr. Bartuska and I were given the honor of being chosen to go to Space Camp for Educators, which is part of NASA's Space Camp for Educators. This was held in Huntsville, Alabama. I earned this suit and my wings and my badge and all the patches having gone through the multi-axis trainer that the astronauts have to do, the centrifuge where we had to withstand 4 Gs, not for a long period of time, but it was enough. It was enough. We also had to go through all of the simulations that the astronauts do again and again and again, going back to what we talked about, that methodology and that safety, so that they know how to troubleshoot. And this is something that at Space Camp for Educators, they treated us like astronauts. I won't even tell you how many sloppy joes we ate. But at the end, when you were successful, you graduated from the program, we went through the simulations, we went through the testing, we went through the workshops. We actually earned not only our flight suits, but our set of wings. So even though I'm not a pilot yet, I'm honored to say that through NASA and the Space Camp for Educators, I have earned this suit, so I wear it with great pride. I have a great time with it.
The aerospace industry is huge in Florida. It contributes so much to the Florida economy.
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
think it's pretty amazing that schools are starting to develop the talent that's going to become the new movers and shakers in the aerospace industry. Do your students, are they aware that they have that legacy behind them and those opportunities ahead of them?
I believe that they do, and I believe that they do because we've opened the doors to the students. Not only do we open them and we take our students out, but we bring individuals in. Last year, we actually, again, thanks to our administration, Mr. Chad Smith, Mr. Cecil McClellan, we were able to bring in one of the pilots, one of the very few of the U-2 pilots in the United States. This is a very young man who was 24 years of age. Accomplishments that I could never even imagine having at that age. He came in and he talked to our students. We also bring in speakers from NASA. The other thing that we're doing is we're trying to, again, not only we're trying to, the county, broaden the horizons for the teachers, but also those students to let them know that they are a part of that legacy and that really, truly, they are our future. And for those of us in education, I'm depending on them. And we want to pass the baton to them and let them know how important that is, and not only from just an aeronautic or an aviation perspective, but how important that science and that methodology and the safety that they're going to learn, whether they're in aviation, aeronautics, or just in science, is important. And how that critical thinking and those higher order thinking skills, how important it is to them in their lives. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for them.
All right, our next presenter up is Mr. John Small, and he is the Director for Workforce Education. We'd like to bring